Hey, what is going on, everybody? Welcome to this week's edition of my top waiver wire ads and streamable defenses ahead of week 6. This is the week we officially have the bye weeks. I think we got the Raiders, the Texans, the Lions. There's another team I cannot name off the top of my head that is on their bye week. So you guys might be doing some roster maneuver, and you might have lost somebody, and you're at to make some decisions on who you should add to your roster and maybe play in your lineup this week. So why don't I get into today's video? As always, I'm going to start with my top waiver wire ads of the week. Give you guys my top quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end, and flex ad. Just in case we have any first-time listeners or I need to remind anybody, the players I'm going to go over, these players have at least 50% availability on Yahoo rosters. So these are names that should be out there in the leagues. You know, maybe not some competitive leagues. I saw one of the names I'm about to talk about at the running back position, I guess, was a controversial name across the fantasy football world on the Twitterverse. So, but regardless, he's available. I'm going to talk about him because he is the top running back ad of the week. But, as always, let's start with the quarterback position. Yes, it is going to be Geno Smith. He's available in 64% of the leagues. I've kind of been like holding away from Geno. There's been some leagues I'm streaming my quarterback because I lost Trey Lance. So I've kind of been going back and forth. I know a lot of people have asked me, should I pick up Geno? And I'm like, I've been at this point where I'm like, I don't know if this is true. Is this just like a first month like a 1 month wonder, a fluke, if you would say? But man, when I was watching the game again, rewatching it yesterday, man, Geno Smith was making some really great throws, so you can't ignore what he's doing at this point. This past week against the Saints defense, which is typically a tough defense, especially in New Orleans, he had 268 yards, 3 touchdowns, and then he does have that mobility where he can pick up some yardage on the ground. He had 3 rushes for 13 yards. It's not like he's Kyler Murray or a Lamar Jackson, but he still has the mobility where if he does need to use his legs to extend plays or run for first downs, he has enough athletic ability to do that. Then if you're like me and you've been maybe looking to stream a quarterback every week because maybe you lost a Dak Prescott or a Trey Lance, or maybe you have an underperforming quarterback like a Russell Wilson, Geno Smith is a great option for you to stream this week. He's playing against the Cardinals. The Cardinals have allowed 19.5 points per game against quarterbacks. That's the 7th most across the NFL. So if you're looking for a quarterback to stream, I'd pick up Geno off the waivers if he's available in your league. And then yes, this next name was who I was talking about earlier. I guess a lot of people in quote-unquote competitive leagues are upset that people are listing him as a waiver option. But the fact is he's available in 54% of leagues on Yahoo. So if you go check your league, he might be out there. And if you guys don't know why, it's because Rashad Penny was the leading running back in Seattle. Now, there have been people, that are believers in Kenneth Walker like myself, but you had to be patient on him because definitely they were going to give the run to Rashad Penny. Well, unfortunately for Penny, he did break his fibula. He's done for the season. So Kenneth Walker is now the lead running back for Seattle. This past week, he had 8 rushes for 88 yards and a touchdown. That basically his touchdown run got all the yards. And then you're just looking at the fact that he's going to dominate all the touches, where he's basically right now, I'd say, a low-end RB2. They are going against the Cardinals this week. The Cardinals, when I looked up the points per game they allowed the running backs, they were like right in the middle of the pack, so I didn't jot anything down about that. But the fact that he's probably going to be getting anywhere between 10 to 15 plus touches a game, you got to pick up Walker if you need a running back in your league. If you're in one of those leagues where you spend fab money, I would probably spend a good chunk of change. This kid has got a lot of talent as a running back. My wide receiver ad of the week, I'm going with Jacoby Myers, the New England wide receiver. He's available in 51% of the leagues. Now, with Bailey Zappi being the quarterback until Mac Jones is back, it kind of gets you worried, but Bailey was able to, produce with Jacoby this past week. This past week, he had 7 receptions for 111 yards and a touchdown and 8 total targets. Now, Jacoby missed the previous game because of an injury, but when you look at the last 2 games that he's played, he's received at least 8 plus targets in those games. They are playing the Browns this week. This is in Cleveland. So depending on if it's Bailey Zappi or Mac Jones, I mean, this is going to be an interesting game where maybe the Browns can get up to a lead, where that gives you a game script where Bailey and the Patriots offense do have to pass a lot, and that helps you play Jacoby this week. But man, the fact that he's gotten 8+ targets, he's getting into that you can weekly playable range where you can trust him. I wouldn't necessarily say trust him, but you know he's going to get those targets as long as he's seeing those 7 to 10 targets a game. My tight end out of the week. If you want to call him a tight end, but if we want to be technical, you can play him as a tight end, and I believe in all platforms. It's Taysom Hill. He's available in 69% of the leagues. Now, he's not going to get you tight end typical numbers, right? This past weekend, he had only 9 rushes for 112 yards, 3 touchdowns, and he threw a 22-yard touchdown pass. Is he going to get you 4 touchdowns every game? No. That's not going to, I mean, that's just unreal. That's unrealistic, right? But, man, is anybody else, like, tired of tight ends, right? So, like, unless you have Mark Andrews or Travis Kelce, it's a boom or bust week. I have TJ Hawkinson in one league. Last week he had 29 points. This week he has 0. Like, what the heck? And, you know, you can't get, don't ever get upset if a player gets hurt, because that's something that's out of your control. That's something that's out of the player's control. But you know how upsetting it is when I have Darren Waller, I'm only down 3 points on Monday night, and he only gets 6 snaps before he does something to his hamstring? It's just like, I don't know if there's a tight end outside of Kelce or Andrews that you can trust right now. You're basically rolling the dice anyways. So the fact that they're going to use Taysom as a runner and sometimes as a thrower, and they will throw him the ball occasionally as well, you might as well roll the dice and put Taysom Hill in your lineup, because he offers you such a higher ceiling than most of the tight ends that are out there. So that's why if Taysom Hill is available and you are looking for some type of answer at tight end, man, I would definitely take a swing on that and put him in my lineup. They are going against the Bengals this week. I mean, again, he's not your traditional tight end. I can't even look at tight end numbers to compare, like, if he's going to get the tight end numbers where he would go against the Bengals. But it's just the fact that, like, I don't want to reiterate it again, but like I said, like, it's just such a crapshoot with tight ends unless you have one of the 2 elite ones that are giving you consistent numbers. Like, you know, you might as well roll the dice on a Hill if you didn't select someone of those, like a Kittle or up high or a Pitts, where you just got to, like, just deal with their down weeks at this point. My flex ad of the week, I'm going with the old man there in Green Bay, Randall Cobb. He's available in 97% of the leagues, and the reason why is, man, we should have maybe all saw this coming. So last week on the Pat McAfee show, Aaron Rodgers talked about how great in shape right now Randall Cobb is, and he said he wanted to see Cobb more invested or getting more play within the offense. Well, that following Sunday, he has 7 receptions for 99 yards, and you guys know where I'm looking at this, on 13 total targets. Go back to the last, 6 or 7 years when Rodgers had Devontae Adams, always targeting him. Well, guess what? If Rodgers has a favorite person he wants to throw the ball to, somebody that he can trust, somebody he's played football for a long time with, and now that he's getting his way where this guy's going to get more involved in the offense, because, I mean, those rookies are going to be players one day, but they are obviously developing, and Rodgers just doesn't have the patience to, like, you know, deal with their developing on the spot. He needs a trusty weapon like a Randall Cobb. Yeah, I think I'm definitely going to pick him up, especially if he's going to start seeing this amount of targets every week. They are going against that Jets defense. The Jets defense is playing a little bit better now over the last few weeks, but I could definitely see him getting those numbers. Now, if you need help because of buys or injuries, I definitely would consider playing Cobb this week. I am kind of on this board where if you have better players that you could trust, I don't necessarily think I would want to pick him off the waivers and play him right away. I do want to see if this is going to be consistent every week, but the fact that the week after Rodgers talked up Cobb and how he wanted him more involved in the offense, and then all of a sudden he gets 13 targets, if that's going to sustain over this next couple months, you're talking about a guy that's going to be like a PPR machine for you going forward. So again, my quarterback ad of the week, Geno Smith. My running back ad of the week, Kenneth Walker. My wide receiver ad of the week, Jacoby Myers. My tight end ad of the week, Taysom Hill. And my flex ad of the week is going to be Randall Cobb. Moving into my top streamable defenses for week 6. Again, just like the players I talked about, these defenses they have to be available in at least 50% of the leagues. Now, I will say this, with the bye weeks coming in and with like the availability for these defenses for me to choose from, It's kind of slim pickings out there. So if you had anybody that's carrying over a good matchup this week, you might want to keep them because I don't know if there's going to be that many great defenses out there. But for those that are available that fall within the rules that I set for myself, my number one defense, I'd take a chance on the Bengals against the Saints. The Bengals are available in 72% of the leagues. The Saints offense, it's an up and down offense. It's like some drives they look great, the next drive they kind of sputter. I'm a guess more than likely we're going to see an Andy Dalton performance, and that Bengals defense still has some players, right? They got Trey Hendrickson, who's a former Saint. I don't know if this is his first game against the Saints since he left there, but if it is, that's a revenge game factor, and he's going to want to get all the sacks against his former team. And then I can see a guy like a Jesse Bates or a Chidobe Awuzie picking off Andy Dalton a time or two. So I see the sacks being potentially there, and as well as the turnovers. My number two streamable defense, I am going to go with the Browns against the Patriots. The Browns are available in 85% of the leagues right now. It's strictly because it's either going to be Bailey Zappi again, which, like I said, he was fine last week in his start. But this game is going to be in Cleveland, so this is going to be an away game. It's going to be out of Foxborough, so it's not going to be as quiet for him when he's on the field. And then even if Mac Jones can return this week, he's still dealing with a high sprained ankle, so it's not like he's not the most mobile quarterback, but even if he plays, he's going to be less than 100% more than likely. So you can factor that in. I like the idea of Myles Garrett and Jadeveon Clowney getting after either Zappi or Mac Jones, and then potentially getting those sacks where those can lead to those turnovers. Again, the Patriots definitely looked better this past week, shutting out the Lions, but that was more of their defense than their offense, so that's why I'm definitely willing to take a chance on Cleveland's defense this week. My number three one, people might say this is a homer one, but you're wondering how can I do this when the Jaguars shut out the Colts 24-0 just a few weeks ago. But that's a whole different story. This game's going to be in Indianapolis. The Colts struggle in Jacksonville, but they do pretty well against the Jaguars at home. They usually win the games. They kind of can be tough, but the Colts are available in 67% of the leagues, and it's just because, man, the Colts defense, when you look over the last 3 weeks, they played some really good football. I know the Broncos offense struggled, but basically before I pulled this when I wrote my article for the Colts-Broncos game. In 6 out of 8 quarters between the Titans and the Chiefs, they held Derrick Henry and the Chiefs the Chiefs running attack to only 78 yards. Now that first half you throw that out of the way, like they ran them all over. But 6 out of 8 quarters, they basically shut those two offenses down. They basically shut down the Denver Broncos offense. Stephon Gilmore's playing great. Yannick Ngakoue and DeForest Buckner up front playing great. So this is a defense that's not only getting better as the season's gone underneath Gus Bradley, their defensive front is starting to create sacks, and they're starting to finally create these turnovers as well. And then they're going against a Jaguars offense where, yes, it's a lot better this year, but look at how it's performed over the last 2 weeks. I want to say Trevor Lawrence, he had the 4 fumbles against the Eagles, maybe even threw an interception. And then I know he had at least like an interception or 2 this past week. So you're talking about 5 to 7 turnovers from Trevor Lawrence over the past 2 weeks. So if he's going to continue that, there's going to be some turnover and sack potential opportunity for the Colts defense. My number 4 one, going back into a matchup I kind of already talked about. I'm going with the Patriots against the Browns. Patriots are available in 58% of the leagues. Now, I really don't necessarily think they're going to shut out the Browns offense. The Browns offense, I think will get things going. I don't know what happened with that Lions offense, who was hot in the first 5 weeks or 4 weeks of the season. But with that being said, obviously it's a Bill Belichick defense. They got some playmakers on there, definitely like a Matthew Judon, right? And then when you look at this, they are facing against Jacoby Brissett. Jacoby Brissett's career started in New England. Obviously, he's moved on to the Colts, Miami, and now Cleveland. But Bill Belichick obviously knows what the weaknesses is of Jacoby Brissett. So I could see him exploiting that, and that could potentially evolve into those turnovers. And it's just a Bill Belichick defense, and like I said, it's pretty thin out there. So if I'm desperate for a defense, I'm always going to be willing to roll the dice on Bill Belichick. My number 5 one, this would be a defense. If you're going to play them, you want to do it by tomorrow. They are playing a Thursday night game. It's not by tomorrow. 2 nights from now. I'm over here thinking it's Wednesday night. But with that being said, the Bears against the Commanders. The Bears are available in 90% of the leagues. Now, I will say this. This is probably like a 12 to 14 team league stream. I'm not thinking anybody that's in like 10 team leagues should be streaming the Bears defense at all, but maybe just because of what's out there, you might have to do that. But it's something I would consider because the Commanders' offensive line, it's really poor right now. They're decimated. Robert Quinn's an awesome edge rusher that can get after the quarterback from Chicago's defense. Roquan Smith is a baller. Jalen Johnson's a heck of a corner. So they got these guys that are playmakers within this offense on all three levels of the ball. And then you just look at Carson Wentz, right? The guy can be a turnover machine. He's up and down. One minute he's tearing up defenses. The next minute he's throwing a pick or he's fumbling the ball. So I like the opportunity for sacks in this game and then as well as turnovers. It's a weird Thursday night game. Sometimes points don't get scored a lot. So if you're looking for a low-scoring team that could benefit you and maybe create some turnovers, I'm thinking Chicago might be a sneaky play for some people this week. So again, my top 5 streamable defenses for Week 6. Bengals against the Saints, Browns against the Patriots, Colts against the Jaguars, Patriots against the Browns, and then the Bears against the Commanders. So this is that. This was this week's waiver wire ads and streamable defenses. As I always say, guys, if you have not subscribed to my channel, please subscribe to my channel so you can always know when my content hits the channel and you guys can go right to watching it. You don't have to click on the socials. You enjoyed this video today, hit the like button. Go tell a friend to check me out. And then if you ever have any questions, as I always say on that part as well, get in my comment section. You can DM me on Twitter. You can shoot me a text if you got my number, and I'll gladly get back to you and with any questions that you may have for me. With that being said, I'm going to hop off here. You guys will see me again Thursday morning when I give you guys my starts and sits for Week 6. So I'm going to hop off. You guys enjoy your night or day whenever you're watching this. Peace out.